Okay, so today I'm here with my friend Frank, and Frank and I have known each other for the entire time I've been here. I've been here for 2 years and 3 months. You've been here how long, Frank?
3.5 years.
3.5 years living in Dumaguete. Now, have you gone back to America or done anything
No,
like that?
no, I've been here for 3.5 years.
3.5 years. So, what brought you here to Dumaguete initially, Frank?
Well, initially, as many of you who are in the United States know, the retirement age is 67. Most people retire at that age, but when I was 62, I realized you could take a reduced Social Security and I could retire early, which I opted to do, and that's why I came here, because you can live on a decent Social Security retirement here, which is one of the great benefits of coming here to Dumaguete.
So you also teach.
Yeah, I make additional money working with Chinese students, and so I teach English to Chinese students, and I also help them with interview skills and to get jobs. So I do some coaching and mentoring as well.
Okay, so a couple of topics we can maybe address deeper in another video is the benefits or the negatives about retiring early. I did it, Frank did it early. Frank makes additional money by working online. Do you mind sharing approximately how much a person can make, not necessarily your income?
Well, yeah. Usually, if you want to get into a teaching situation, you can make anywhere from 20,000 pesos a month, which is $400, to upwards to maybe $1,000 a month, depending on how much you want to work.
And to make $1,000, which is everyone wants to make that, how much?
You'd have to put in about 30 hours a week to make that much.
Okay. All right.
Almost. Now, maybe 25.
Okay. So we've known each other a long time. The whole time that I've known you, you've had one girlfriend, Glesseray.
No, I've had two.
But the whole time I've known you, I've only met Glesseray.
Correct. Yes, you only met her.
I only met her. Now, your relationship with her was kind of tenacious at best. Can you kind of give us a little background as to how you met her and what attracted you to her?
Sure. For those of you that are interested in getting a relationship here in the Philippines, I will say in general, the relationships with women in the Philippines can be a great experience, and I'd encourage you to come and try it out. And maybe you'll find somebody that will work well with you. For many of us, we haven't had that experience. The last girlfriend I had, we met approximately. We were together almost 2 years, so we were together for a while. What initially attracted me was she was a lot of fun, very energetic, very outgoing. I mean, around the house, hard worker, cook, was almost like a chef to cook. So, what's not to like? Obviously, it started off very strong. However, in the beginning, now they look back on it, from the very beginning, there were some problems that I didn't recognize.
Okay, well, how long did it go good?
I would say almost the first 6 months to a year, in that range. And then, as far as me and her was concerned, we were able to work through a lot of these issues. The real problem came with her interacting with everybody else, including her own family.
Yeah. So, give me an example of what happened. I mean, I'll share. Frank and Glesseray came over to my place a couple years ago. A couple years ago. And I had a couple of friends over there, female friends, that I had met for the first time also. And we were all in the pool, and one of the female friends that I had over was a very attractive young lady. And Glesseray just went up to her and said, "You're ugly." And I don't think you were aware of that at the time.
No.
And so that kind of squished my date that day. But I could see that kind of early on, that there was issues there. But you're my friend, and I'll just tell you, I don't think you saw it, or you refused to see it. What happened?
Well, I think the problem is, and many of you may have experienced this in your life, that when you really feel you're in love with somebody, you overlook a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't want to look at what's sometimes right in front of you. As somebody who was a previous therapist in the United States, and I did family therapy and everything else like that. You would think that I'd be really aware of this, but it just goes to show you that when you come here, you know, you're gonna meet girls that you just had no chance of meeting in the United States, and you're gonna fall for them, and because they're attractive, they're young, they're attractive, vibrant girls, and so I overlooked a lot. And I also was one of those people that was hoping it was going to get better. I figured if she rubbed shoulders with me long enough that maybe things would get better. But as many of you have learned in your life, things usually get a lot worse.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened.
Well, my hero, Forrest Gump, once said, "You can't fix stupid." So
No, that's right.
The dynamic that I think a lot of us bring with us over here is, I'll speak for myself, is come out of situations of dysfunction. And so when you're in a dysfunctional relationship, and it tends to be that you gravitate towards that for some reason. There's a dynamic involved. Example, a lot of women that get into physical altercations with men where they hit them. They break up with the guy, the police are called, everything's done, the restraining orders are in place. And then 2 weeks later, she's in a relationship with another guy that's physically abusive again, because the dysfunction is normal to you. And it creates a kind of an excitement, or there's an allure to that. And I just think that, you know, you might bring that kind of baggage with you over here. Do you think that's part of the dynamic of what happened with you and her? Did you have a dysfunctional situation back home?
Well, I had a previous relationship with her before her, and in the previous relationship, I didn't get to see her. She was always gone a lot. So what I was looking for when I broke up with that girl, I said, I need somebody that's going to spend some time with me. Well, this last girl, she never left my side. I mean, she was everywhere I went. She'd follow me, and you know, in a lot of situations, we're looking to get some space in our relationships, to go visit our friends and go hang out with people. And you know, she insisted on going to those situations, and of course, after a while, she began to alienate every one of my friends. And people would say, "Yeah, you can come, but leave her at home," or some people just didn't want anything to do with me because as a result of her. So, you know, given the fact that there's a lot of expats on the island, I hung out with people that were willing to hang out with me, but I found they were getting fewer and fewer. And it seemed to get even worse when a lot of the Philippine women didn't like her either. And I
they like everybody.
Yeah. We got to that place where basically I was getting isolated, and I felt isolated. I felt smothered. I couldn't breathe. I just literally couldn't breathe. And then I knew, I said, I've got to get out of this. And getting out of these kind of relationships, and maybe this is something you may want to think about before you get into a long-term relationship, is, you know, a lot of the Filipino women, some of them are here strictly for the money, but this girl really did love me, I believe, and she was in it for the relationship, and she didn't want it to end.
Okay. What was it like at the end? I mean, there was a lot of stuff that we don't have time to go into here, of incidences and things like that. But I know for a fact, because we're friends, that she was very controlling. In other words, she took your phone, she read your messages, she wouldn't let you leave anywhere. If I showed you a picture on my phone of my current girlfriend,
Yeah.
she got mad.
Right.
Because I was showing you a picture of my girlfriend. I mean, that was the level of insecurity that she was in.
But Paul, I think yeah, that's true. I think for the people listening, what might be helpful is that there's a lot of Filipino women that are jealous, and that's not unusual here. So, you know, you have to really clear. There's several things I think you really want to clear the air about. Number one is you want the right temperament. I mean, if a person's angry all the time, that's not what you came here to retire for. Number two is you don't want somebody that's jealous, who just won't let you be out with anybody else or talk to anybody else, because that's kind of what I had. I had both of them. I had someone who got angry a lot, which, you know, I used to joke. I used to say she was like Ireland. You get 4 seasons in one day, you know, emotionally. It was, and so I had to deal with all those swings that were going on, and you know, and the isolation after a while, and where I just realized it was me and her, but But I think it's something to think about before you get into a relationship, is to find out if the girl is jealous, and for one, that's important, and what's her general temperament like.
How long did you know her before you guys moved in together?
About 30 minutes. Well, this was a problem, and for some of you that are considering this, you might want to take a little more time. Yeah, you might want to take a little more time. Put some thought into this. No, we wrote to each other online, which is what a lot of people meet people online. Mine happened to be date in Asia. That's how I met her. And when she came over, she was supposed to come for 3 days, but almost 2 years later, she hadn't left. It was kind of like Gilligan's Island, You're out for the tour and you never make it back home again. So that's kind of what happened. And she came over, and within about 30 minutes, we were just very connected. And it was my decision, so I don't want to blame her. I'm responsible for the decisions I made, and I made the decision. So we didn't have much time to, I would say there was very little courting going on. If you want to be formal about it, we just got right into it, Paul. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so, I think this is an awesome video, just for the fact that what happens with Buzz happened to me. So the first girl I met came right into my house too. And I think Buzz and I both knew, at the behest of all these things, that you shouldn't do that. There's just too much going on here. And I don't know what the dynamic is. I think that when we get here, we're just awestruck by how beautiful they are and how cooperative they are and how docile they seem to be. And it's just, you think, this is awesome. I just want to continue this. And then later on, the real person comes out. So the moral of this story, or the moral of this video, is for the guys coming over here, just take your time. There's how long did it take for you to hook up with someone else after
It doesn't take long.
That's beautiful Maria over here.
Yes,
how long did that take?
Not too long, but she's known me a while, so more than 30 minutes. So it took a little while longer.
My point being is that there's more than one fish in the sea.
Yeah.
And so for guys, us, the opportunities here are very, very broad, and that's really the appeal. Okay.
I think, Paul, what we might say is, when I was in America, and many of you might be going through this in America or Australia or Europe if you're there, when you get older, you can become almost invisible.
Yes.
I mean, really. And all of a sudden, you come here and you're very visible.
Yeah.
Young girls are saying hello to you. And you're afraid to say hello back, because when you come from America, that could get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Just saying hello or commenting about how good they look.
Yeah.
Here, it's a totally different experience. So for all of us, it really takes some adjustment with that to understand what all that means.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point. If you're over 50, I dare you, go walk through a mall and see if anybody looks at you.
A lot of them.
Go to the mall here.
Yeah. Oh, there.
Everybody
Yeah.
looks
No one looks at me in the United States.
Yeah.
No, I'm invisible.
That's right. So am I.
Yeah.
So you broke up with Desiree. Let's get into that a little bit. I know it was ugly, but these guys got to know. So you're breaking up with your Filipina girlfriend, and she doesn't want to go. Am I correct?
Yeah, she didn't want to leave.
So what happened then?
Well, then you have to go. You have to go a whole different route. Once I had to get her out, and she was not on a lease, so she didn't have a right to stay here. The lease was under my name.
Here at the apartment.
Here at the apartment. The lease is under my name. So I asked her to leave. She said no. I contacted the landlord. Now, so the people that are listening will know how stupid I am. Let me tell them the stupid
part.
part.
I think we already know.
We'll tell them the stupid part. 3 weeks prior to my breakup with her, I actually had the locks changed, and I brought the landlord over, and we had her halfway out the door, and she jumped on me and cried and sobbed and begged me to give her another chance. At which the landlord kind of got soft, and she said, "Yeah, well, maybe it'll be different." And okay, I was dumb enough. I paid up all the locks changed, and then I let her back in.
Yeah,
and
that's not necessarily dumb. That's just an emotional response. Again, as men, we keep thinking, I've done the same thing with a crazy lady back in America, where I thought, well, if she just hangs out with me being normal, she'll become normal too. But abnormal is abnormal.
And your listeners have to understand that there's a lot at stake for them. When they leave us, they're going back to circumstances that are a lot of them are very strong poverty situations. So, living with us, they're living at a much higher standard. They're going to lose that standard and the future relationship, and it's very difficult. So, okay, so I gave her a second chance, and it just didn't get better. In fact, it got worse.
So the exit strategy then turned into what? Was the police involved?
Yeah. Well, I contacted the police first, and they indicated to go to what they call a barangay. And the barangay here is different than the police in the United States. These are kind of civil workers that kind of help you with this. And I, again, called the landlord, and she agreed to come over here. And I called an American friend who sat as a witness. Prior to leading up to the very end, though, again, she's refusing to go. And then the night before, she threatened suicide. She had a knife out. So things got a little out of control. So I needed a lot of witnesses. So I had the landlord, I had a friend of the landlord's, I had my neighbor upstairs, and one of my personal friends from the United States. And we were all here, and the barangay captain was on the phone. His office was literally just maybe a couple hundred yards away, and he was listening in to make sure everything went okay.
Smart.
The landlord handled everything. She told her that the landlord's a woman probably in her early 50s, very professional woman, said, "You're not on the lease. He doesn't want you here. You got to go. If you don't go, the barangay's going to come and have you removed." So she decided at that point to leave. She took some things that really didn't belong to her, which I let go. Yes, was there money involved? Yes, I did give her 20,000, which is 400 pesos, and severance. Severance situation.
$400.
Yeah, $400 in severance situation. So
that's good. A lot of guys just kick them to the curb and that's it.
Right. Yeah. I felt like, well, she'd been here almost 2 years. I mean, I don't think it would have been right.
No.
So that's kind of now. So you might want to say, well, what's the end of the story? Well, the end of the story is she kept communication with me, which I let her go through this grieving process. Well, I found out this morning, since we're giving you fresh news here, I found out this morning she's already got a live-in boyfriend.
Go figure.
Just about 3 or 4 weeks later, she's already hooked up. So as they say, all's well that ends well.
So once she left, you breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's it."
Yeah, I felt like there was a real weight lifted off my shoulder. I really did, and because it'd been going on. My problem was I was so exhausted from the fighting.
Yeah.
And from just the emotional stuff of this that I just slept for a couple of days. And really.
What was your plans right after that as far as your love life goes? Did you look to get into a new relationship right away? Were you going to play the field? What was your philosophy?
Well, my plan was to play the field. My plan was to go out and just enjoy my newfound freedom, to meet different girls, to try to hopefully take some time to really think through the next one that gets in my life a little bit more.
And how'd that work out for you?
Not good.
Another plan shot to hell.
Well, I did push my friendship with Paul by going in his Facebook and retrieving some of his female friends.
I did not know you did that.
I did it, yes. Well, the way it works is if you get his female friends.
Before we started the video that he was in my Facebook doing something. What did you do? You took my female friends what?
Well, what I did is I looked at them to add them as friends. And when they added me, then they have hundreds of friends. All of them have hundreds of friends. So you can go through their whole friends list and click add friend. So within a day, I'm just enjoying. I'm picking up 100 or 200 girls, and then out of you do the numbers game. Out of 200 girls, there's probably 20 or 30. It's probably going to say, "Hi, how are you?"
Well, that's awesome. But the moral of the story is, I think that at least what I've adopted is that. I've got a lot of years behind me and very few in front of me. So I want the remaining years that I live to be joyous ones and to be happy ones. And I'm not being cold-blooded. I'm not being mean. I don't think I don't have any, what's the word? animosity towards anyone. But when I meet girls, and if after the first one, after Rachel, you knew, 10 months with her, I set my foot in the line. I drew the line in the sand and said, no more am I going to do this. And I haven't. So I meet a girl now, and if we click, that's awesome. I'll see her exclusively. But the minute things start going off the rails, I'm the first one to just say, let's stop right here, right now. And we avoid the police, we avoid the barangay. And in many cases, we've remained friends. But that's my, I don't know if it's call it advice, it's more of an opinion maybe. But if you see it start going down the rails again, the wrong way, I think it's much more humane for me and for her and everyone concerned than instead of dragging out something that you know in your heart of hearts is going to end bad anyway. Why don't we just cut it right here and try to be friends? Right. So, I don't know.
Paul, everybody has different approaches to that. I've sort of amended my approach to that since the last situation. The most important thing to me in looking for a girl now is temperament. You know, I think with us, because we can attract so many attractive girls, and it's all about attraction. But you know, you have to look beyond that. Temperament's really important.
Yeah, I would agree.
mean, that's just that's because the girl's got to be calm and peaceful because we're retired.
Yeah.
I told the last girlfriend, I said, I don't have the energy to fight with you anymore.
Yeah.
You need to be with a younger guy or somebody else because I don't have the energy to do this, to fight over every little thing.
Well, you know, for the sake of time, we'll wrap it up. But I think in conclusion on this is the sage advice is the same here as it is in America or wherever you're watching this from, is when you meet a girl, here it's kind of like, in America, when you meet a girl, you go on a date and you part up and then you agree to text, and there's a process where you might have 5, 6, 7 dates, and then you kind of go in steps. Would you agree?
Yes.
Out here, if you meet a girl and she's at all attracted to you or likes you, well, now you're a couple.
And move in.
And move in.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to balance that, because if you don't go along with her, then there's little animosity and tension created. And I think it's important that you have to learn to, your boundaries are your boundaries. And so the sage advice is don't move them in right away. Date them for, I think, 6 months. At least know them, know what their habits are, know what their attitude is. You'll find out the real story in that amount of time about the family. You'll find out the real story about if they have kids, because a lot of times they just lie to you. I've met girls that have said, I have 1 kid, they've had 4. They've said, I'm 30, and they're actually 40. And that didn't come out for weeks. And you know a couple of these girls. I just haven't shared that with you. But, so that's it. Anyway, thanks for doing this, Frank.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Good.
So you're supposed to subscribe at this point because it was such an engaging video. And we'll come back. I've been offline for a while because of the weather's been inclement, but I do have my top 10 reasons to move to Dumaguete coming up soon. And all right, so we'll see you later. Thank you again for watching.